I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just...
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent here with you on a, a wonderful Caldo Wednesday morning.
It is Wednesday morning. How about that? I hadn't even thought about that. No. This week is blowing by. Do you notice how the weeks just blow by?
They do, especially this time of year.
I'll tell you why. The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed for over 50 years. Now for like 55 years. AT Deerland Feed's been there.
Customer Appreciation Day tomorrow. Get by there.
Yeah, they don't appreciate you today, but tomorrow they're going to care.
They will appreciate the heck out of you.
You ever walk into a place and go, when was Customer Appreciation Day? They're like, yesterday. Don't push it, pal. Every day's Customer Appreciation Day at the little gin that could. 37 degrees in Victoria. That's what you want to know. Yeah. 37 degrees. They say it feels like 32. I guess that's a combination of the humidity makes it feel a little more nipply.
I don't think it's windy.
Heading to a high today of only 63. That's going to continue tomorrow. Low tonight, 37. And a high of only 68 tomorrow. Then we go back to 61 and 76 as we head into the weekend. Yep. But 37 degrees in Big V today. Don't forget your sweater and take a few extra practice swings before you play.
Ricky King, Kendra Douglas, Daniel Wade White on the podium this morning. Scott Tomko, Bobby Leister, good morning. Crystal Mapp, David Glass, Judge Posey, Rena Scherer, good morning. Stephanie Conti.
Thank you, Commander. For years we've told you.
Lisa Poole, Linda Chris, Micah Patton, Tammy Keeling.
For years, we've told you this show is news straight from the source. I can't think of a place we can be any more efficient than today. I don't know the House district that Dr. Brad Buckley serves. I know that he's the state rep from the area of Salado, which includes like Fort Hood. You're over there in Killeen. Dr. Buckley's going to join us via Zoom in a little while. I think I told him 7:15-ish. Just a quick background on the doctor. He's a veterinarian. He's from Texas A&M. He has served several terms.
House District 54.
House District 54. Car 54, where are you? He has served on the Killeen ISD school board. His wife is the assistant superintendent of secondary schools for the Killeen ISD. They are public school people. He's an Aggie.
Veterinarian by training. Yeah,
very nice gentleman. You'll enjoy him as a person. He's a very fine guy. And he's pro-voucher. And my thought would be, because my concerns, everybody's concerns, but my concerns too, revolve around the idea that vouchers could be bad for rural districts. Well, the man's been on the school board of a rural district. So you're going to tell me that. I want to hear those answers from you. We'll get to him, though. That's the whole point. The key thing is he's not like, it's not Sheila Jackson Lee whining about inner city black kids not getting enough opportunities and that, she wants vouchers for everybody to get these black kids out of the ghetto. No, that's not it.
No, this will be twisted into, it's that upper middle class rich white guy.
He wants everybody
to white kids away from black kids. That's how they'll turn this thing.
Poor kids are just as smart as little white kids.
Andrew Alvarez, good morning. Paul Ebner checking in.
They
Jordan
just can't
Last.
get on the internet. Those black people don't know how to get on the internet. That's a Joe Biden comment. Good morning, Judge Zeller. Good morning to all the great listeners on Magic 95.9. Thank you for being there yesterday as we struggled to get onto our multimedia. We're now streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, Roku.
Magic app, Magic Facebook, the Magic website.
The Magic Time Machine.
Carter Castaneda checking in.
Hello, Carter.
Steven's there too.
Steven's his chauffeur. See, Carter gets he gets chauffeured to school every day.
Greg Garcia, Scott Snow, Patrick Strauss, good morning. He
I
says
think
the
Pete
Colts
Strauss
got
is
the
in a
movie.
deer blind.
Sounds like it.
That'd be our luck. He could call us.
Maybe they're moving too much. You can't hit them.
He could call us and we would hear the shot. That would be nice.
He had a freezer full of Nilgai or something. Is that how you pronounce it?
Nilgai, yeah.
Nilgai? Yeah.
Now, Nilgai, if you've got Nilgai, the great thing to do with Nilgai is mix it 50-50 with pork and add in
So
the
basically, that's the same thing you do with deer.
yeah, but it's better. It's better than just venison. It's an antelope. It's just better.
It's a byproduct of antelope. It has no red dye 3 in it.
Right? We'll shift to that. It does make a fantastic sausage. Nilgai does. Right. Oh, man. Yeah, the best.
I don't think I've tried it. Tammy Williams, good morning.
Tell us about red dye number 3. You've got some countries that
we talked a little bit
that.
about it last week. Lots of countries have banned
It's
it.
now,
EU.
but it's in the news now. We
Yeah.
talked about it last week, and it's in the news now.
Well, because the FDA is looking to ban it. Do we really trust the FDA on anything after COVID anymore?
I don't know. I think you need an entity such as the FDA to look out for things, right?
I was being facetious. But
well, I know,
still.
but I mean, it's not something I would like to see the government do away with. That's a place where you kind of cede some authority to a group to do tests and make sure. For example, you don't want people putting stuff on the shelves at your local grocery store that have a shelf life that could lead you to get sick when you eat it. You want the FDA to say, no, that needs to be refrigerated.
Yeah. Twinkies need to have a shelf life of 50 years.
You can keep them forever.
They should be, what they really should be banning sliced white sandwich bread. Have anybody who bought one of these lately and just seen how long it lasts? It doesn't mold anymore.
That's
Stuff
weird.
lasts forever.
Well,
So
and plus
red-
now
yeah,
they've
but-
got a loaf. You've got the right. Am I right? You get a loaf that you can like throw over your shoulder. You can carry it like a baby deer around your neck.
It's a scarf today.
It's like the new mega loaf of thin sliced white bread. It's got like 86
I
slices
flew to
of
Canada.
bread.
Somebody was using that as a neck pillow.
Well, then we buy quite often the like 12 grain multi-grain bread. It tastes like you're eating gravel with a crust.
Yep.
But when you open it up, there's like 6 pieces in there.
It's the only bread where the crust actually tastes better than the bread.
Absolutely. But it's true. There's like, you open it and like if like I like to make fold over sandwiches.
Yeah.
So if I make me
Because you're cheap and want the bread to last.
absolutely, but I make a fold over and Dawn and Caden and Rylan each have a sandwich loaf all the way down to his heels.
Yeah.
You call them heels in Canada? Is that the heel?
No, I don't know. You used to call it
caps.
the crust.
The crust. What do you folks call the last, the first and last piece of bread?
Piece nobody wants to eat.
Yeah, but it's good.
I used to like it. Yeah.
Really good toasted.
I really
put a little
liked it
peanut
when
butter and jelly on it. Oh,
Great
man.
grandma baked bread 3 times a week.
That's what y'all had. Bread and potatoes,
Potatoes.
right? Every now and then.
Stole them all from the Irish.
Right.
There wasn't really a potato famine. Canada
Greg
stole them
Garcia
all.
says it's the heel. See?
Yeah.
Okay. Carrie Bump says the heel.
That must be an
okay. We grew up
American
calling
thing,
it
I
the
guess.
heel.
Yeah, I don't
Now,
know.
Lisa Poole said it was the heel or the end. Seeing Lisa Poole reminds me, tomorrow night, Friends Meet Friends, Palace Bingo.
Palace bingo.
First ball pops at 7:30. Try to be there. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Celebrate Junior's birthday.
No, it's your birthday.
It's Junior's too on the 14th.
How odd is that? You guys are that. What does that make y'all? What are you, Aries? What is that?
Sagittarius.
Whatever. You believe in any of that?
No.
It is uncommon so like I'm Libra. I'm right in the middle of being a Libra. And as many of you have noticed, I am one of those people that's always just seeking peace, it's just so
Typical
obvious.
Libra.
Just on the scale, just trying to balance everything out for everybody, trying to be helpful.
Injustice.
Wait a minute. Andrew Alvarez says, we called it the color, Spanish for tail.
Oh, I thought
color.
I thought that was an N.
Yeah, the cologne for the opening at the end, the cologne.
We call it the colon.
No,
It's the bread colon.
Must be color, Spanish for tail. Can you hear that at the house? No. You eat the color. Pinche, eat the color. Yeah, I can hear that.
Honestly, whoever got it? Jordan Glass says the hoe. Everybody touches it, but nobody wants it.
Wow, the hoe. Everybody touches it, but nobody really wants it.
No, see, Junior's coming in with the same thing. It's called
the last slice is called the hooker. Everyone touches it. Nobody wants it. Oh, Junior.
Really? You know who, honestly, growing up, who used to get it? The one who was the last one to the loaf of bread, or whoever was in trouble with mom and she was making the sandwiches, then that's what you got.
It reminds me of, was it Chris Rock or Eddie Murphy that talked about all dad ever gets is the big piece of chicken? It was Chris Rock, I think.
It was Chris Rock.
Oh, goodness.
All dad ever wanted.
Chris Rock's 59 years old.
Yeah. So red dye 3, the FDA wants to ban it. It's in everything. Replaced red dye 2, which they found to be cancer causing.
Wait a minute. It's been shown to be carcinogenic in huge quantities in lab rats. Now,
So much so that the FDA banned it from cosmetics and other topical applications, but keep ingesting the hell out of it.
Yeah, just eat it. You can't put it on your skin, but you can eat it.
Don't put it on your lips, because if you might lick your lips, but no, just keep eating it. We'll put it in everything from M&Ms to, I don't even know what else it's all in. Somebody said pistachio shells or something like that.
There you go. H.R. Mallory says it was Chris Rock. And he says that Rock goes on to say, if you ate the big piece of chicken, mama sewed 2 pieces together for daddy. I love it, man. But it does make you wonder, have you seen the pictures lately? This is Bill Posey-esque that I'm going to go to this level right here. Have you seen the pictures lately of Pam Anderson?
No.
Who's now I think she's 50. I think she just turned 50. She may have just turned 60. I think 50. She's just 50. Pam Anderson, Cody, look at her.
Coda's on it.
Well, she's had multiple augmentations and all kinds of look. She was always a beautiful woman, right? She's quit wearing makeup and she's quit bleaching or dyeing her hair. And she's au naturel, and that is not her. Pam Anderson
wrong Pam Anderson.
She looks amazing. She looks like a fresh-faced teenaged girl.
That's the Pamela Anderson I used to have a crush on. Was when the one that was a little Bats Blue girl. You
Yes.
remember her? Before
And I think-
Baywatch.
Yeah, look at her with no makeup now. Look at that picture. She's beautiful.
I can't see that far.
Oh, that's okay. She doesn't. She's
I'll see.
She's
It
not.
I'll look at
interested
it
in you.
later.
I do think there are times that I would suggest that from just a truth in advertising standpoint, why don't women honestly demand equality and just quit wearing makeup? I mean that. I'm not being silly. Why do women wear makeup? Why?
Victoria's Secret tried that. Remember when they hired bigger women to model their stuff and
Sales plummet.
and yeah.
Because people have an
didn't like it.
ideal. They're seeking an ideal. But you know what's funny is one thing People Magazine has done for us is it shows you that whole concept of the celebrities are just like us. And when you see them out, hey, you see them at the beach.
Almost
They
never
got a little,
recognize them.
They got a little belly roll, right? They got a little junk in the trunk.
I think that was the secret of Victoria's Secret back in the day.
See there, Ricky King says Mandy doesn't wear makeup, and I think she looks beautiful without it. I agree 100%. Women can't get that glow when they're wearing makeup.
No, I agree.
Nothing quite like, I love it when Dawn doesn't wear makeup after she's been in the sun at the pool 25, 30 minutes, comes in, just has that glow.
It's called a burn, suntan.
Yeah, she's
one or the other.
sunburned. Yeah.
But
Awesome.
I think that was the beauty of Victoria's Secret. You had guys who thought that buying their women lingerie from Victoria's Secret would turn them into
Right.
Victoria's Secret models.
Man.
It's an illusion. Jackie Parsons, no makeup.
There you go.
Go by see Jackie today.
I think it's a great concept. I mean, I think that's a,
There'd be no Red Dye 3,
there you have it.
Red Dye 40, whatever.
Let's run through a list real quick, folks. The office is at 205. Call Jimmy Zaplak for an opportunity to come down and visit and see and lease. You can be right here with us. Right there, I can see the sofa and the chair. You can sit right there every day, watch the show live with us, and hang out. Paravita Wellness, get in and get healthy. Get in and order some meals. You can custom order what you want. I need this protein. I want this starch. I want this vegetable.
If you have dietary restrictions, just tell them and they'll make it for you.
No red dye, no preservatives, no gluten. Get in there and see Erica Briggs. Tell her Wade and Carter sent you. You get 10% off.
Yep.
Go try a meal. Say, hey, Wade and Carter sent me. I want my discount. They'll give you the 10% off. And then from there, you can roll on. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to. Let Allen help you get from here to there or anywhere. You got a problem? You got to get a vehicle from here to Gonzales for a new worker? No problem. Allen can do that for you. Why take a driver's time?
Yeah.
Just load him up. Let him go. Veracruz, we mentioned today, is Caldo Wednesday. I was in Veracruz yesterday for a few minutes and got to see Minnie. She's doing good.
Good.
Mary has been sick.
Oh.
But it's a family business, and they're great folks. They all rally around each other. Get into Veracruz this week. And then USA Concrete Coatings, Charlie Garcia and his team, 578 Home, HOME.
You think Junior told Linda to post that?
A little paint on the fence doesn't hurt property values. There you have it.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, so breaking news this morning. Representative Nancy Mace apparently accosted in the Capitol yesterday, on Capitol grounds last night, by a trans man.
Nancy Mace,
Of course, leading the charge to keep men out of women's restrooms in the Capitol.
right.
And apparently was accosted yesterday, said that she had some injuries to her arm and her wrist.
The man is in critical condition after Nancy. No, Nancy
She
Mace
hurt
is
her
a
arm beating him with it.
United States Military Academy graduate, one of the first females to do so. And I'll say humbly, a quite fetching, striking woman. She's the all-American lady. Very, very proud of Nancy Mace.
Police did not release a motive in the attack on Nancy
It's
Mace
just
yesterday.
anger. There's
but, yeah.
anger. And you know what? Angry trans people, target me. I will help you get your anger out. I would love to be attacked by an angry trans person.
So I'm still confused. If she was attacked by a trans man, does that mean a woman?
I guess. Have you ever
Beat her
seen,
up?
you've
Or
seen
tried
that
to beat her
video where the guy's questioning the guy because you were so up in my space now. Just start screaming at him.
Well, when I first read this, I thought, okay, she was accosted. Does that mean somebody yelled at her, screamed at her, like close
Apparently
proximity?
grabbed her.
But apparently, hurt her arm.
What I don't understand, and I don't,
She had to get a brace for her wrist and an ice for her arm. So they probably punched her and probably grabbed her. That'd be
where
my
my
guess. I don't know.
ignorance peaks is, so you're a man, you're a man, and you decide in 25 that you want to identify as a woman. I want y'all to stop and think about this. This is Ash. He's a man. He decides that he wants to identify as a woman. So it started
Truly
because he just found this pair
hypothetical.
of Jimmy Choos that he really liked. And he starts wearing a dress, maybe even a cute little pantsuit. I don't know, something with a ruffle. And
At
I
my
don't
age,
care.
mom jeans.
He goes ahead. Yeah, he gets some. Well, what he would get, first of all, it's going to be January. He would get some leggings and some Uggs.
And a white sweater and a vest, puffy vest.
and identify as a woman.
Hannah Solo.
Does that all of a sudden, because Ash has lost his mind, does that make it okay for Ash to start going into the women's restroom? And what stops a man like Ash from faking it just
Restraining
to
orders?
be in the women's restroom. I guess I don't get it. I don't know what this is. We've been getting these really random things lately.
Yeah, this is where we are, but like you and I have talked about, though, the pendulum seems to swing
And then it goes
further
so
left,
extreme
and then
the
it
other
goes
way.
the other way. I hope we don't get. I want to get more than just center,
I just can't.
but I hope we
figure
don't
out-
go. But every time that pendulum swings to the left, it gets further left.
Yeah.
And at some point in this country, it's going to be almost impossible to get it from here
back.
even back to the middle. We're going to end up somewhere over here. That's just the way it's, because we're swinging so far,
I agree.
right? And every time we swing further left, even centrists are being called, wow, they're really radical conservatives, and they're nothing more than centrists.
Well, so back to the premise. If I say to you, well, Ash, I get it. I mean, I get it that you want to play girl. That's cool. Do what you want.
Why don't we
man.
pick on
You-
Commander Cody? This is
Okay.
getting a little bit. This is getting a little uncomfortable.
But let's say that
for
we
me.
just say, you do you. You do you. That's fine with us. We don't care that you want to be a girl.
Just stay
But
out-
when you
yeah.
need to go to the restroom in public, you need to go into the men's room. And is it because, well, that's not fair, because Ash could be accosted in the men's room. Ash could be belittled in the men's room. Ash could be.
But see, those fears are rational when you're talking to the left. But when you say that, well, they could accost somebody in the other restroom.
Oh, that would
you're-
never happen. They're just wanting to live their life. They're perfectly normal. They're perfectly normal people. Yeah. And see,
And until what happens in, 3 Virginia schools with that boy that was protected and was claiming to be a trans girl. And turns out he was just an opportunistic rapist who
Yeah.
faked it so he could sexually assault women in the restrooms, right?
right.
Andrew says, if we can accept and make laws protecting transgender, when do we start protecting trans minors and write off statutory sexual assault?
Well, it's coming. I just don't get it. I mean, I would love for somebody to say to me, well, you're infringing upon the man's rights if he wants to go to the women's restroom. And by the way, in general, if one man walking into a restroom could potentially infringe on the rights of 10 women who happen to be in that restroom, the man needs to accommodate the women, or vice versa. If you're a woman and you decide you want to walk in, and I don't know how you would do it, but stand at the urinal, then you know what? If I'm in there with my son who's 6 and you're like, what's up, Billy? Just deal with it. No, get out of my bathroom.
But you know what's, I don't know. But I mean, I remember going to sporting events.
Adam says, I'm exactly what Bruce Jenner is waiting on. Get him a wig. You know what's funny about that is Bruce Jenner is absolutely against trans men in women's restrooms.
Yeah, he has no desire.
He has no desire to do that.
But you know what's funny is I've been to sporting events. I've been to clubs when the women's restroom was lined up, and guys had no problem letting women use the men's restroom.
No, and guarding the door for them.
Exactly.
I've done that many times. I'll watch the door for you.
Samuel Williams says you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. Men are.
I've had those women say, no, sir, I need you on the other side of the door.
Well, you were trying to guard them in the stall.
I just came to watch. It's no big deal.
Greg Garcia, this is why the libs lost the election. The pendulum has swung so far left, the country issued a mandate.
I love the opinion of a strong female who adds, Tammy Williams says, look, in those famous words, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. Men are men. Trans are just playing Halloween. So no, they don't belong in the bathroom. 100% agree. Now, you think that we're missing our guest?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying it. Or maybe he thought 7:30.
I don't know.
I don't know. You can probably give him a quick.
I could give him a quick text.
General Motors announcing it's going to stop funding its Cruise robo-taxi self-driving cars. Just the latest aside from Tesla, I think, who continues to seem to want to continue on with the self-driving cars. What's the point? I don't get it. You still have to have a driver's license to quote unquote operate a self-driving car. Chevy spent over $10 billion on this project since they acquired it 8 years ago. And they have decided we're done. They've laid off 900 employees. And they will save about $1 billion annually.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder why those folks don't all get together. And it's kind of like, we say in the insurance world all the time, hey, let's kill it and get it up on the porch and get it quartered up. We'll decide how to put it in the freezer later. I don't understand why. GM, Ford, Elon, why don't they all get together? Is it because Elon's like, well, I can do it without you. It may take an extra 6 months, but I'll own the market.
Have you noticed Ford and their real push for the Mustang Mach 2 or Mach E or whatever it is? Their ads during the football and everything have been, we'll give you the charger station. They're really trying to incentivize it. Yeah.
I don't understand. Did you know?
Struggle with calling it a Mustang.
The other day,
It's got 4 doors.
My son Kyle was driving Audi's new entree into the electric, not new. It's a 25 model Q8, which is a really fine car. There's Dr. Buckley there. He's calling in like this. Let's get him on the phone line.
Yeah.
There you go. You there, sir?
Yeah, sorry, my email thing for whatever reason isn't working this morning. I can't get my deal to link up.
We've had all kinds of issues with the internet just in general down here in this part of South Texas. I want to introduce and say we're joined by House District 54 State Representative Dr. Brad Buckley. He's from Salado. He incorporates the Killeen area. Represents
mostly Lampasas County, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah,
No, all Bell. It's all Bell. No Lampasas.
Oh, no Lampasas.
They don't like Lampasas. They don't like Bell
I had it wrong.
County.
I thought it was some of Bell and all of Lampasas, but no Lampasas. Yeah. Okay.
So Dr. Ash over here to my right is Canadian. So every now and then he'll just interject things as fact that really have no basis in reality.
Wikipedia was wrong last night.
He does that. He's the guy that goes in and edits Wikipedia biographies and stuff. So
to fit my own narrative.
First of all, thank you, sir, for taking the time to call us. Welcome to the program. We have a slightly diminutive but really large audience of folks that are on top of current topics. Our tagline for years around here has been news straight from the source, and I'm just flattered that you would take the time to call us because you absolutely are the source when we deal with issues like school vouchers. How are you and what's going on in Salado this morning?
Well, it's the first freeze of the year. It's down here on just off of Salado Creek. It's pretty frosty this morning, so it feels like December finally.
What does that do for your veterinary business? Do you have all the old golden retrievers coming in with their hip dysplasia when the weather gets cold, or?
Well, they get a little stiff, so they need a little maintenance.
I can relate.
I know, just like me.
Yes, sir.
He might be the one to ask about your chickens.
Right.
Yeah,
So can I ask you a quick veterinary question? Do I have a copay credit with you? I've got 8 chickens in the back, 5 little black sex links and 2 Americanas that give me these beautiful blue eggs. And they're in a
only
coop.
7. You said you had 8. Where's the other one?
Well, you're right. There's six sex links. Well, we have had a hawk, but at any rate, do I need in Victoria, Texas, at what temperature do I need to consider putting a heat lamp underneath their coop or what? Because the heat lamp I got looks like a ceiling fan from the 80s. The thing is huge. I bought it at Tractor Supply, but it's just huge.
Yeah.
What I mean, do they self-sustain pretty well?
Yeah, I think they should, but I would consult get your partner to consult Wikipedia.
Okay. He wants no
I haven't worked on
responsibility.
I haven't worked on a lot of chickens, But I think like anything else, if it's time to protect your plants, you probably want to protect your chickens.
Fair.
Yeah,
Good statement.
that's a good statement. Although birds seem to survive.
Yeah.
Well, until we've
If
had
they're
that.
moving around, they can survive. If they can generate body heat, if they can move around, they can survive. If they're cooped up too much, no pun intended, then
Yes, sir.
they may have trouble.
Take us through. I've laid the groundwork here with our audience that you're a public school guy. You've served on the Killeen School Board. Your wife is a public school administrator. You're in a rural district. You are the antithesis of what some folks would consider a pro-voucher person, right? Because everybody's all scared that vouchers are going to doom the rural school district. Take us through vouchers, the purpose of. I know that we have folks that are very concerned of, well, how are you going to fund them? How are you going to do that? Just tell us your 30-second elevator speech about vouchers.
Sure. Well, I think you have to look, first of all, and I think as the chairman of a committee in the Texas House that's, charged with looking at, public education in Texas, the first thing you have to do is look at the results. And, when you look at our results across the state, we have 50% of our third graders aren't reading on grade level, and 50% of our eighth graders aren't doing mathematics on grade level, and then various other challenges, through all the subject areas. And, so for me, it says, what are we doing? What are we doing right? But more importantly, what are we doing wrong? And then the other part, when you talk about parental choice and school choice, vouchers, ESAs, whatever the flavor of the day is that to me, there is no one more important than parents in driving the educational outcomes and choices for their kids. And
Amen.
And some of us have a lot of choice. For my kids, they all attended public school, but we took them to the public school we felt like they could thrive in, and but some parents don't have that. And so as we looked at ways to solve problems and make sure kids learn better, I think it's entirely rational to understand that learning is a unique process. Not all kids are the same, and they may need different pathways. And so I came to this my position on it based on special needs children that are in the Killeen area and families that were struggling to attend a very, very high quality special needs private school, young families in the military that were having to work 2 jobs to pay tuition to try to get their kids the education that those kids deserve. And I feel like it's entirely appropriate to create those pathways. The other thing is, the reality is that if you follow education savings accounts and school choice around the country, in states that have programs that are managed properly, that are mature, that have proper oversight, all kids are learning more. Their outcomes are better than Texas, and it really is not an issue. Parents make choices. That's their right, their God-given right as parents to do so. And that's why I believe in school choice.
That would be my thought. If I follow it on down the path, I've said here, and it's not always the popular thing to say, but I've said, look, the decline of the American family, the single parent working 2 jobs, just doesn't physically have time to sit and do homework with a child. So in short, for whatever reason, the lack of parental involvement is part of the reason that our education system is so unproductive here in our state. And then I have to wonder, if we go to vouchers, that I do believe I'm pro-voucher. If we go to vouchers, are the best and brightest going to leave the public school, go to better schools to get away from that element? And then also, it's worth it to me, right? If that one kid who is the next to follow the racial implication, George Washington Carver gets out of an inner city Houston school and gets into a school that helps him thrive, and all of a sudden finds a cure for cancer. The voucher program was a raging success.
Well, here's my question, Dr. Buckley.
Sure.
How do we, given what we just talked about and finding pathways for kids, but how do we then improve the public school system as well? Because Texas is lagging. We're bottom third in the country. The country's lagging. We're bottom third of developed nations in our educational attainment K-12. So there's issues there. So how do we then address that? And then also, how do we address the school finance piece of it? Because property taxes are going through the roof and people are crying for fixing that as well. And the $100,000 homestead exemption really was just a Band-Aid solution. So how do we take vouchers, make it part of the solution that fixes the public schools? Let's start there, and then we'll get into the finance of it. But how do we fix the public school system as well? Because Texas is lagging by almost any measurable accountability in our attainment and output.
Yeah. That's a great question. And what I offered before the Texas House in November of 2023 was something that I would call, not an either or solution, that you can be for school choice and support public schools. In the end, we want kids to learn. I don't really care how they do it. I just want them to learn, and I want parents to be in charge. And so, one of the things I think that's critical is that when you look at this issue, you can create a pathway for kids to have an option outside the public school. But then again, what I offered was significant reforms for our public schools, to include $7 billion that would have increased funding per student in the state of Texas for all public school students, an average of $1,000 a kid. Making sure that we reform our testing system, where our kids aren't just tested to death, that we're taking exams that give meaningful results that inform teachers and parents, and so we know how our kids are doing. And then also that we reform the accountability system for our schools, so that a parent can look at those results and have a more holistic a more holistic look, if you will, at really what those public schools have to offer. And so I think that whatever I'll offer this session will also be a education. The topics will be education related. It won't simply be we'll only focus on school choice. We have to do important things for our public schools to help them improve. We passed an important bill last session where the state provides a better, higher quality curriculum and pays for it for school districts that choose to take it. We have to make sure we're teaching reading the right way. We have to teach the science. We have to have our teachers using what's called the science of reading, or the science of teaching reading. And we also need our teachers teaching mathematics in the proper way. The research shows, the evidence shows, there's certain curricula that get better results, and far too many school districts have not gotten there yet. So we provided incentives for them to do so. But the reality is, you're exactly right. We can't, there will never be, we project that in a mature school choice system in Texas, no more than 5% of the kids would be on the choice side. So It is going to be a huge majority of kids will be in the public schools, and that will be our focus as we provide more resources. We provide reforms. We get teacher pay up so we can attract and retain better teachers, and we get better curriculum and really better campus culture for teachers to want to stay. And it's not a either or. We have to do all of it if we want the best educational attainment for kids.
Doctor, I look at it and
we're visiting with Dr. Brad Buckley, who is Texas State Representative for District 54 and also chair of the State House Education Committee.
Yes, and Dr. Buckley, one thing I look at is, I know that it's not a position to take when you chair the committee, but between us just here in Victoria, the whole idea is just not that big a deal. I mean, it's not like we're talking about, of 5.5 million students in the state, that 3 million are going to leave and go to some private school, and we're going to have all these public school buildings that are decimated with nobody to pay the bills. But the thing that will be the test, like our district here in Victoria, we monitor closely, and it's made great strides, and it's opening more trade type opportunities for kids that aren't on a necessarily a college directed path. And they've really broadened the offerings, and they're doing a really good job here as a district. But I'm convinced that the week after vouchers are passed, you're going to see public schools start tooting their horn a little bit. Public schools are going to start advertising. Hey, here's why you should leave little Billy, because little Billy can come out 2/3 of a way to an associate's degree by going through our programs. They don't do that now. They have no competition. They don't, there's no urgency. So I think just the concept of competition will help all boats rise on the incoming tide.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. I think back to the, being a veterinarian by day. I remember, in my practices in Killeen, Texas, I'd recently spent a bunch of money on this practice and borrowed more money than I thought a man should be allowed to borrow. And man, I was nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. And I'm driving to work to the clinic one morning, and I look over in a big field where there's going to be a new retail development. And it says, coming soon, PetSmart with a full-service veterinary clinic. And I thought, oh, my goodness, here come the big boys to town. So I called at the time, a now retired veterinarian, he's kind of a mentor of mine, and I said, Doc, I said, man, did you see PetSmart's coming? What in the world are we going to do? He says, you're going to get up every day, you're going to go to the clinic, and you're going to be the best veterinary clinic you can be. And I think that is human nature, that when there are more options for people to take, whether they're kids, their pets, their clients, their where to buy their food, their shoes, their cars, or whatever, that what it does is it makes everybody better. And I think you will see that effect on our public schools. And I've talked to many school leaders across the state that I'll tell you what, some of the groups, the organizations, fear this and, my goodness, we can never do this. I have a lot of superintendents. I had one just said that they tell me, bring it on, I'm ready.
That's good. That's a champion.
Yeah, we will be the choice. That's right.
How's the state going to pay for vouchers? And with that, there's those that say, well, that money should just go into public education as it is. And I think too often government just throws money at a problem as the solution, and there's never any real reforms that go with it. But how's the state going to pay for vouchers?
Yeah. Well, the way we structured it, and I suspect the way we'll structure it this time is we fund our public schools through what's called the Foundation School Program. And it's basically a process every 2 years where, we predict and project enrollment. We, fund all additional kids. We say if there's going to be, 30,000 more kids, we say there's, we fund that, through statute, through legislation. We may adjust allotments, make changes, put more money into the system. This year it's really in the weeds, last session, we increased the yield, which is the golden pennies, which is a portion of the ISD tax rate that is not subject to recapture. So we put $2.5 billion in the system, and that meaning districts that had golden pennies, which I believe they all do, they were able to keep more of the money they raised locally. So they did receive more money. It just wasn't a huge infusion into the basic allotment. But on the other side, on the school choice, what we do is we just appropriate it separately. So it would come out like something you'd appropriate for a road or appropriate for, any other things that government gets involved in. And that way we can control it. We'll know kind of a sum certain of how many kids will be involved. And then for those kids, we have accountability. If you take state money, there's accountability. You may not take the state test, but if you're in a private school, there, only the parents that choose to receive the education savings account scholarship, the kids will have to take a norm reference test. It has to show that they're learning. The accounts are not held by parents. They're held by, like the same way a health savings account is held by an administrator. There's an education savings account administrator that holds the money on behalf of a child, and those accounts are audited. Those dollars that flow must go to an accredited school or some sort of approved vendor for tutoring, therapy, other things. It's not big screen televisions and kayaks and trips to Disney World like you read. That may have occurred in some states. The Texas program will not be designed that way, and there'll be a full accounting through the comptroller's office.
We're hearing there's not a movement, but there's a lot of support afoot down here for folks saying schools should be funded based on enrollment and not attendance. I tend to agree because there's a disconnect to me between school administrators having
ISDs being bought down. I suspect we'll do that again. We want to create a pathway where we continue to supplant local dollars for state dollars to take as much property tax burden off the local taxpayers as we can. Appraisal reform is still desperately needed. In Bell County, the rates go down, but the values go up. And,
right.
Again, that's just a math problem, right? And so we have to continue to address the appraisal side of it as well to try to provide real tax relief for folks so that they're not renting their home for all of their lives.
There you go. Ash, you got one?
No, I'm looking to see if there's
I'm reading
a
some of the
question
comments.
from anybody here.
I had blurted out that we're interested in trying to see schools funded based on enrollment versus attendance. And can you see that becoming reality at some point?
Yeah, we look at that as a matter of fact in the bill that I that I authored back in November of 23. We moved some of our allotments to enrollment-based funding where it made sense. The reality is, if you talk to the Equity Center, which is a long-standing organization of school districts that have fought for fair funding between public schools for, 25 years probably, they will tell you that enrollment-based funding is not as advertised. It's a minimum of $1.5 billion to switch to it, but it is not for lack of a better term, it is not equitable amongst school districts the way the formula works. And so it is certainly something that people, that a lot of groups talk about as a talking point, but the Equity Center, which is a staunchly pro-public education school finance organization, has cautioned districts that if you're going to advocate for it, you need to run the numbers in your own district. Because our funding formula is complicated, and it does pick winners and losers in that scenario. So it's something that we need to go into, maybe with good intentions, but make sure it really works as we believe it ought to work. So I'll
perfect. We just have had lots of folks ask about it. I thought I would ask you. Yeah. Let me shift gears for a second. I want your take on something that I know there's two sides to every pancake, right? So I find myself looking at the situation and saying, I'm not sure you and I are on the same side of this issue. And I just want to give you an analogy. I look at, as you guys try to do, I call it the harumph meetings, where you guys all get together with the Republican caucus and you yell and scream and walk out and take breaks and vote and complain.
Yeah.
And I look at all that and I just can't help but feel, and I get it that Texas state politics are different than national politics and that we all have to work together and we're all neighbors and all that glorification. It just seems odd to me, to the point of going out and seeking Democrat support to get a speaker for the Republicans is a lot to me, sir, as if the Aggies decided to go over to Austin and ask the Longhorns to help vote for their football team captains. It's just not going to happen, nor should it happen.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why the Longhorns could say, well, I think you ought to make Connor Wegman your captain, and you go, no, he's not even playing anymore. We'll keep the Reed kid. No, that's not going to work. And if you don't put me on a committee, I'm not going to give you my vote. And there's a lot of, I know it's politics, but help me understand why that makes sense and why you guys can't all get in a room and come out with a Republican guy
Yeah.
that you guys are Republican supported enough to make him your speaker, whether it's David Cook or Mr. Burrows or whoever.
Yeah.
Why is that the case? And why does that work in your opinion?
Well, I think this time, I think the caucus process was really designed for an open speakers race where you had months for candidates to, to go around the state, meeting with members, making their case. The reality is we had a sitting speaker up until about 48 hours prior to the caucus meeting.
Yes, sir.
And, being a chairman, I was obviously on Dade Phelan's leadership team and in 2 sessions in the Texas House of leading the Texas House, Dade Phelan led the 2 most conservative sessions in the history of Texas. I mean, if you look back, we have constitutional carry. We banned gender mutilation and modification for kids. We've banned abortion. We have social media checks and balances now. We passed the first ever curriculum in the state of Texas that is classical in content with religious references that takes the woke out of curriculum. We banned DEI in our universities. So to say that the Texas House hadn't had conservative victories under Dade Phelan is just not true. Now, there were some, as always, that's a hard job. You can Monday morning quarterback it. But the caucus process was really designed for there to be an open race, if you will, where a member could go around visiting. And so when Speaker Phelan decided to drop out at the last minute, Dustin came to the forefront of a group of us that know him and trust him, that know he has a strong conservative record. And quite frankly, we had a caucus meeting, but we weren't really allowed to caucus. We were spinning our wheels, and there was no member that was going to get to the threshold of 59 votes and then 53. And in the end, it comes down to, I don't believe that either that any Republican can get 76 Republicans to vote for them. We've not shown to be able to do that. And so, as a matter of fact, before the caucus meeting, Representative Cook, who's a good friend of mine, was meeting with Democrats trying to earn their support. I mean, because you have to get 76 votes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dustin Burrows told the caucus that day, he said, you know what? You don't want Democrat chairs. We're going to vote on the rules the first or second day of session. It'll be the will of the body. Take the vote. 76 Republicans, don't want Democrat chairs. Then, there won't be Democrat chairs. It'll be in the House rules. But the whole point has been that we want a House run by the membership. But you can't say you want that, but then you say, no, I want my speaker to be a dictator on issues when I want him to be the dictator. Either
Yes,
the
sir.
members run the show or the speaker runs the show. And Dustin believes that a speaker should call balls and strikes, should set forth a clear conservative agenda, which is going to be partnering with the Trump administration for border security to pass a universal school choice program, to make sure we're not indoctrinating in our public schools and our universities. We need our universities to get back on the pathway towards being research and educational institutions and stop some of this crazy indoctrination in our universities.
Yes, sir.
We have to make sure we protect children, whether it be online or protect children from some of these radical procedures that we've banned, to make sure that we stand strong on that. And that we need a pathway for significant reduction and relief in property taxes. I believe Dustin Burrows is the leader that can do that. He is Greg Abbott's go-to guy for conservative legislation. He passed what we referred to as the Death Star bill that keeps cities from imposing onerous regulation on business, like you see in Austin and Houston and some of our larger cities. He was also the reason that when you go in for a bond election, you've seen reform on the ballots that say this is a tax increase. Do your homework. That's the Dustin Burrows bill. He carried the bill to have revenue caps that slows the growth of property taxes, and has led the fight every session for more reduction and more reform in our property tax system. He's leading the fight to make sure that we ban the ownership of land in Texas by the communist Chinese. And so, the goal is to have a speaker that will empower the members, but will also set forth a clear agenda of conservative reforms and conservative victories. And I believe Dustin Burrows is that man. And, as members, we'll continue to work through this.
Yeah, I know you guys will work it out. That's the beautiful thing about, electing representatives, letting them fight it out. I think that's a great part of the process. I know that those of us that sit on the sidelines find ourselves saying, it doesn't make any sense to me that you would ever have a Democrat chair a committee. What's the use of winning if you don't lead? And I don't think you lead necessarily. You can lead through compromise and negotiation, but not through benevolence. I don't want to put a Democrat in charge of a committee if I'm the head Shaka Khan. I was elected. Ash has a question.
Yeah, we got one of our listeners asks, going back to the vouchers, is the state withholding money from schools over the voucher issue?
Withholding money?
Yes, from public schools over the voucher issue.
Yeah. The last session, there was $7 billion that we had negotiated for public schools, but the negotiation with the Senate and the governor is that we would have a school choice program. And so there were 21 Republicans that chose to strip education savings accounts out of the bill, but not only strip it out of the bill, basically did a parliamentary maneuver where it could never even be brought back up by majority vote to put on, to put back in the bill. And the bill, I withdrew the bill because I give people my word, and I do what I say. And I told the governor, and he had agreed to the good things for public schools, but we were going to do the school choice program. And when they stripped it out, so there was really appropriated. We would have to appropriate some more, but there was about $3.9 billion that did not get appropriated in public schools because of lack of ability to come to a resolution on school choice.
Well, I tell you what, Dr. Buckley, I cannot thank you enough for taking time to give us a call this morning. I want to say to you that you've been bombarded with tough questions. You haven't shied away from any of them, and you've absolutely, with no foreknowledge, you've been completely prepared to talk about every subject. I feel like Salado is very well represented. I did have a United States Marine veteran say, he asked the question if the special needs school was actually known as Fort Cavazos. That was rude, but he did ask that. He said that there was a special needs school in your area and he thought it might be Fort Cavazos because he's a Marine. But,
there's a little bit of let's just say a friendly rivalry there between the wonderful United States Army that is a key part of House District 54, home of the 3rd Corps, the Phantom Corps. We're referred to as America's Hammer.
There you go.
Yeah, and it is the great place.
You are among the best guests we've ever had, certainly one of the most informed, and we really appreciate you taking the time to call us this morning. Yeah. Wish you great success this next session. I intend to be in Austin some beginning around the 14th, and I'll come look you up and buy you a cup of coffee. All
right. Hey, come see me. I look forward to it. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you,
and
sir.
If anything I can ever do for y'all or shedding more light on any of this, I'll be happy to do it.
We'll have you back.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
So that was Fighting Texas Aggie for John Paul Hall. Whoop! Got my leg behind my other leg and all that deal. State representative and chairman of the the House Education Committee.
Last session, we'll see if he's
Dr.
again
Brad Buckley.
So.
I keep thinking that he's on top of what's going on. Tammy made a good point up here. If you go back a little bit, and I think it may sum up the whole situation. There's a whole paragraph. It was a Tammy moment. No, further up.
Okay.
Even more up. Well, one of the other paragraphs right here. She says Buckley is well-meaning, but his increased funding idea and fund both failed last session and probably won't fare any better this session. The $4 billion earmarked for public education has still not been released. Now, what I have to say about that, the money is that falls to me squarely in Greg Abbott's lap. And I don't know what you do with that. I don't, he's the governor and everybody elects him every time. And every time he gets reelected, he gets more and more implied authority. He's the governor and he's got his will, whoever's in his ear, the big money people from Pennsylvania or wherever, whoever's in the governor's ear,
Textbook publishers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They fund his war chest. And at the end of the day, what the governor says is what's going on. So I thought that, and thank you, Tammy, I thought that Representative Buckley did a more than admirable job of saying, hey, I'll answer that. Yeah. And hey, we can disagree, but I thought he was top shelf.
Yeah.
As you would expect. Like I said, he's a public school guy. He's certainly not against the public schools. And his numbers to me, in another conversation were that 10 years from now, we might have 150,000 kids out of 5.5 million Texas students. We might have 150,000 on vouchers. It's just not enough to make a line in the sand over.
Tammy says we keep sending the same folks back to Austin. We keep getting the same results.
We're not doing that in our district.
Not in our district this time.
That's
we
right.
had been. But we're not any longer. So I'm excited and anxious to see. I shouldn't say anxious. I'm excited to see what's going to happen for District 30.
I saw where Texas House District 30 Representative-elect Sheriff A.J. Louderback checked in this morning. It was nice to see him check in. Don Posey, thank you, sir. Judge Posey says, great guest. Adam Sugar does make a mental note that I said Timmy had a good point. Timmy often has a good point, but it's like spaghetti. You throw 1,000 strands on the wall, one of them's gonna stick. So there you go. Adam Sugar says Abbott's got to go. Well, good luck. He's much closer to being a dictator than Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And he's got like $87 billion.
Well, and he's got those freaking laser beams in his wheelchair. That doesn't hurt.
When he turns and like the red dots on your chest when he asks you a question, because he's got a high tech. All right, folks, we're out of here. We hope you have a great day. Go win the day. Get by Caldo Wednesday today. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Around with another man's wife. But other than that,